A compelling detective story, a cloak and dagger action, and a romantic drama, all these stories were taken from real life. The history of Kazakhstan is inseparable from the world history. Reflections on history, our version.
A man worthy of surprise. He was the lord of all the Huns and the only person in the world who ruled the tribes of almost all Scythia. The fabulous fame he gained among the barbarians was amazing. This is the district of Buda, located in the capital of Hungary. It's unusual to see such a happy person in this office. Doctor, you used to have nothing to do with history. Why did history suddenly catch your interest? It's more than just a hobby. It's my mission. He was attracted by the legendary name. In 2009, the maxillofacial surgeon Istvan Bencze, the French Foreign Legion, veteran Gabor Zsolna, and the writer Peter Cepin decided together to carry out a historical experiment. They titled their expedition From the Golden Man to Attila. We began our horseback journey at the Golden Man burial mound in Issyk. The destination of the journey was Attila's burial mound. Although Attila was born in Central Asia, we know that he was buried in Hungary. A great many people in a number of countries think that the Huns' great chief Attila was related to them. I'm proud that my name is Attila. Chapter 1. Your name shapes your destiny. Istvan is a real Kipchak. Although he's wearing a national costume typical of the Hungarian horseman, he remains a Kipchak. He's following the road of his ancestors. Istvan is confident that the Hungarians are descendants of the Huns, and that Attila is our common hero. As our father, he unites us, which is why his identity is important to us. During his lifetime, his name became associated with horror on one side, and the outstanding courage on the other. Even nowadays, children are named after him in order that they inherit his strength and courage. Attila was the winner of an ancient nomadic game, which is called Adaurspach in Kazakh. A 10-year-old horse rider is preparing for contest. The boy's name is
Attila.
Historian Attila Turk is showing some exhibits in the Budapest Museum. The Huns moved here, and you can see some items from the 5th century of the Hun period exhibited in this room. There are Semiracia burial mounds and Hungarian burial mounds. This is a map near where Attila Pap, one of the organizers of an exhibition held in the Hungarian city of Veszprém, is talking about ancient nomads' movements. What is the connection between these places marked here on the map? We wanted to show the whole Eurasian steppe with its horse-riding nomadic civilization which previously occupied the whole area. His colleague is trying to explain the secret related to the ancient name. Is your name Attila? I'm Attila. I think that if a person's name is Attila, it means a lot. This person should meet the expectations connected to his name. Actually, the origins of the Huns' chiefs' names are not clear. Perhaps it derived from the Turkic Ata plus El, which meant father of the people. In some other languages, this word has similar pronunciation. For example, father or pater, and the Gothic version is Ata. Father means a very strong person who takes the responsibility to take care of his people and family. According to another version, it means the one who has earned his name and is illustrious. Another widely recognized meaning derives from the Turkic Atulu, which means horseman. It seems that in ancient times, Attila was quite a widespread name too. Medieval Bulgarian historian Gazi-Baradj mentioned the Huns' chief namesake, who had been born a few centuries earlier. He crossed the river Agidel, which the Bashkorts called Atil, after the Masagut hero Attila. Perhaps by saying Masagut he meant Saxe Massagetes, who also lived in the areas where the Hungarian expedition began. Chapter 2. He was born to frighten. The journey taken by three enthusiasts strengthens the historical and cultural connection. Long live friendship between Kazakhstan and Hungary! Hooray! According to Istvan, during the journey they were friendly to each other. When their horses got tired, they went by 4x4. He doesn't say anything about being tired. They are real Huns, who are used to severe winter, scorching summer and lack of food. Here, due to the natural conditions, people develop such character traits which help them to survive. Attila said that he was the son of a king. However, when he was born, there wasn't yet a kingdom of the Huns, only a few warlike tribes. Each tribe was headed by a chief. Sometimes tribes united to achieve some goals, but usually they competed with each other. War was a means of survival and progress. The fact that such powerful groups were united led to the formation of a mighty state, which moved forward trying to improve their situation and move to places with a milder climate. In the German Nibelungen saga, there is a character called Invincible Etzel. The Anglo-Saxons called him Ettla. In Scandinavia, he was known as Attila, which in Kazakh legends, he was called Edil. This chief's courage was his chief characteristic. History does not record where he was born, but we can make some assumptions. Truth to tell, we know very little about Attila and the period of the Huns. Some of the best information comes from the works of Roman and Byzantine ambassadors who met him. There were only two people who left some notes about Attila who knew him personally. They were Frank Prosper of Aquitaine and the Greek Prisus of Panium. The latter met the great Hun in the year 448. According to his description, Attila was a short, well-built man with a patchy greying beard. We know about Prisus's description thanks to other authors who quoted him in their works. Assumptions about Attila's age are largely based on these sources. According to the most reliable information, he was not born before the year 390. The place where he was born also remains unknown. Here we will talk about the most widespread version. The Volga region is considered by most to be the birthplace of Attila. Moreover, the name Attila, or Itili, means the one who was born near the Volga. It is said that Attila's great-grandfather Balambar moved to the Volga region in the 4th century and established a state on the riverbank. This was the place where the person whose destiny was to shake the world and to be the scourge of God was born. The name and origins of his mother are unknown, but his father was supposedly Munzduk. However, there is another popular version. Munzduk often stayed in the tribe's main camp, which was situated somewhere to the north of modern Linz. It's certain that this was on the eastern bank of the river Danube. Perhaps this place was where his son Attila was born in a wooden palace built for the Huns chiefs so that they could stay there for a long time. In addition, the Hungarian Tisza riverbanks and Kazakhstan's steppes are considered to be the possible alternative birthplaces of Attila. Chapter 3, Where Are You, My Homeland? Although a few centuries separate the young Saka prince and Attila, the king of all the Huns, they shared the same vast steppe and the feather grass under the horses' hooves. It's unknown whether Attila followed the same route. However, it is known for certain that the Huns resided in this area during different periods. They constantly moved, fought and established new states. They appeared out of nowhere and then vanished again. Here is Attila when he came to Hungary. Here he is. It seems to me that he was born somewhere in Semirechye. Perhaps he was born in Altai. Semirechye is mentioned in modern sources giving information about Attila's ancestors. For instance, there is a legend about the origins of the royal clan Attila belonged to. At night, people from China attacked Kin Batir's seat and killed all the Huns who were there. Kin Batir's wife managed to throw a large pot holding her son into the Dulo River before her enemies surrounded her. They cut off her arms and legs and she died in agony. Afterwards, a deer drinking water in the river picked up the pot with its horns and brought the boy to Semirechye. Masagut's King Ma brought up the boy, and he was named Gazan, married to Ma's daughter, and changed the name of his clan, Dulo, to Mardowan Dulo. According to scientists, the Dulo clan lived a few centuries BC. It is said that there in ancient times a hemispherical cap trimmed with fur was also called a Dulo. There are various assumptions that the Dulo River could either be the Black Irtish or Talas. According to other sources, it was the Ili River. One interesting fact is that the Dulat tribes, ancestors of modern Kazakhs, lived in Semirechye in ancient times. Dulu lived from the Ili to the Chu River. According to some sources, this tribe is of Hunnish origin. In the 2nd century, being defeated and persecuted by the Chinese, they came to Semirechye, conquered a part of eastern Kazakhstan, and settled there for 3 centuries, mixing with local tribes. The Chinese called their state Yuban. It existed until the 5th century, the period of Attila. Perhaps the Jeti-Su was the homeland of the most famous chief of the Huns. However, it's possible that Attila came from another place. Periodically, the most independent hordes broke away and started moving. For example, a part of the tribes decided to move to the Altai, and the others moved to the west, to the Ural River and the mountains having the same name. They are eternal nomads who have been used to the cold, hunger, thirst since childhood. They take their flocks of animals with them everywhere, while their families move in carts, where women weave and sew clothes, look after their children and bring them up. If you ask these people where they are from, they will not be able to answer. According to the generally accepted data, in 375 the Huns living in eastern Kazakhstan and the Volga region, perhaps the very Huns whose head was Attila's great-grandfather, defeated the Goths and conquered their area from the Don to the Carpathians. After that, having divided into parts, they moved to the banks of the Danube. Thus it's quite possible that Attila could have been born somewhere on the banks of the Urals during the nomads' travels. Epilogue: Death or Immortality. They have travelled across 5 countries and covered a distance of 7,000 kilometres. It's Hungary. This area is called Sirok, which translates as grave. Noble Scythians, Celts, Sarmatians and Huns were buried here. The destination was here, near the tomb of Attila. Again, it's just an assumption, which hasn't been either confirmed or refuted. The place where the Huns' chief was buried remains unknown. There's no information about this place in legend. There are other versions about the place where Attila was buried. According to one of them, he was buried near the Tidza River. There is a river here too, and it isn't difficult to conceal a large grave among local hills and mounds. There is also Sirok Castle near here, so it helps to make sure that nobody with the intention of doing harm could ever approach the grave. The length of the burial mound is 80 meters, and its height is 25 meters. This place has been considered a sacred time since ancient times, and certainly there was a reason for it. Nevertheless, the burial mound has not been explored yet. Why is this place considered sacred? Attila was the great king of the Huns, and the Huns were our ancestors, which is why respect should be paid to the place where such a great king as Attila was buried. We put some hair here from the horsetail and a stone from the burial mound of the Golden Man of Issyk. It was a sacred process, and in this way we linked the 2 burial mounds together and united Eurasian areas on the spiritual level. He was buried in the same place where he was born. His story is woven from myths and legends. The fabulous fame of Huns' chief Attila is worthy of awe.